Mr. Jackson, it is my real great pleasure to be sitting here with you this afternoon. You are a legacy. You are a legend in this business. Can you talk about those early days?
I was born in Arkansas.
Okay.
And went to school in Arkansas. Later, my mother and father separated. Then I went to Oakland with my father, and my mother went to Indiana. My father went to Oakland.
Did you always want a large family?
No, I just wanted a small family, but I was the type of guy that when my wife started having kids, most of the guys was doing away with the kids and stuff like that. I stuck with every one of mine. I worked in the mill. I was a crane operator. You see the operator of big cranes. I believed in, if you have those kids, you would stay with them and raise them. Like some of the people in those days, or some of the guys in those days, they had one baby, and then they would run off. I couldn't do that. If you have them, you work for them, bring them up the right way, and then that's it. I was taught to stay with the family and be a father to the family. I was a father. After, I think it was the 5th kid, I knew I needed another job, so I took up a trade. It was a welding trade, a local trade stuff. I took that trade up and finished that trade and got another job as an art welder. I used to do that too, so that made me have 2 jobs to deal with. I worked 2 jobs almost 10 years. Well, they had a lot of problems at that time, with a lot of crime and stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I was able to keep my kids at home. I know Michael always complained about he never did have a childhood. He had a wonderful childhood. Why I say that? Because his childhood, he was there with his brothers and sisters. He always played with them. I just didn't want him out there playing with the kids and stuff that always in the trouble. And they were, some of those kids are in prison, some of them are dead, and mine never was that. In raising those kids, I raised them close. They was able to entertain each other, and I thought that was good. They didn't have to go out there in the streets. They wasn't locked up like some of the other people or robbing people. They never did none of that stuff.
And I asked you a question. There is a difference between a beating and a spanking.
A spanking, you just spank them a little bit with your hand or something, let them know that's wrong what they're doing. A beating come from the slavery days. When they used to beat the slaves, because when the slaves tried to run for freedom or something, they grabbed them and beat them and tortured them, And they beat them with just about anything they get their hands on, put scars on them and all that type of thing. And that's the difference between beating, and that's where it came from in the slavery days by the slave masters.
Tell me, when did music become a part of their lives? Was that a dream of yours? Was that something that you saw that could protect them even more?
Well, that came from me being involved with some type of music and things and rehearsing, and they'd be standing around listening and looking. And when I bought my instruments, and my wife used to sort of like scold me about buying so many instruments because I kind of want them involved with it as well. And so after being them involved with the instruments, Tito used to play my guitar and all that stuff, and he learned how to play pretty good. And then the group, my wife, who rehearsed them a lot too, she found out they were had good harmony when they sing, and the one was playing the guitar, and the one was playing the bongos and stuff. So it was making a little noise there.
Was there a moment, Mr. Jackson, where you looked at your kids, or maybe it was Tito first, and maybe Jermaine, or all of them, and you said, you know what, there's something really special about my boys. Like, these aren't regular boys. There's some talent there.
Well, I saw the talent there, and they were learning real good. But when Michael got involved with singing with them and all that type of thing, I really saw the real talent there because he was doing things, spinning and dancing and all that stuff, which most, most artists gets on stage when they get ready to perform. It's one foot to the other one. They don't have any magic in what they're doing on stage. But Michael had it all, He was learning. He must have been rehearsing a little bit, off to the side when no one was looking, but he was very good dancing and spinning and doing the split, back then they were doing the split.
The James Brown split?
Yeah. Yeah. But he learned real fast.
So you saw magic in Michael?
I saw magic in all of them with Michael leading, leading the songs, yeah. But Jermaine's a very good leader too. Jermaine, it's kind of hard to tell which one's the better singer, but I think Jermaine may be just a little bit better ballad singer than Michael is. But one thing Jermaine couldn't do, he couldn't dance and play that guitar like Michael could. Yeah. So Michael could dance, yeah.
So he couldn't put it all together.
He couldn't put it all out together at the same time.
And when did you know? Do you remember their first performance? Like when you took them out in front of people? Obviously, there must have been a lot of performances in the living room first, or in the house.
The first performance I'm looking at was back then was at a talent show, and I think it was a Steel Town that I signed a 6-month contract with. But we were doing a lot of talent shows before the Steel Town, before signing up the Steel Town. And we were winning all of the talent shows, every last one of them. And we, all over Illinois, was winning talent shows and all that type of thing. Then we started playing the clubs, And that's what happened, nightclubs, things of that sort.
Let me read a quote that Michael said. He said, I thought this was interesting. He said, talent is something God gives to a performer. But my father taught us how to cultivate it. I thought that was a nice thing he said.
Where did you get that from? That's the first time I heard of it.
That's the first you heard it?
Yeah.
That's out of his book. That's out of his autobiography.
Well, they taught him a lot of things, When they walked out on that stage, they were ready for, out there for anything,
Tell me about that Apollo night. Do you remember it like it was yesterday?
Oh yeah, because.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was a place where talent would go and try to win at the Apollo Theater. If you win there, the saying was you could perform any place in the world. But if you didn't win, you had to touch the stump the head on stage. And they still got that thing there too. If you didn't win, those fans are out there with things and throw balls up there after you, so I was hoping they would throw that at all. We won.
You performed for Barry, or were you asked to come back?
We did a little type of audition for Barry, yes. Barry sort of like scratched his head, and I don't know, kids, but. We did this little talent for him, and he told him to sign him up. Sign him up.
What did that feel like?
Yeah. Well, that felt good. Motown, sign you up.
Sign you up.
Yeah. I've seen Michael when he was younger, during the Apollo days. He'd make his little money and all that stuff. And he come back to the area where he lives at close to 2300 Jackson Street. And he go buy a lot of candy. And he have all those kids in the neighborhood sitting around in a circle like, and in the middle of the circle, all this candy he had bought, and they'd be reaching over to eating candy. He'd be just laughing, having a good time with it, yes.
Your son's legacy is first your legacy. Whenever you say, what does it mean, what is the legacy of the Jacksons? What does it mean to be a Jackson?
To me, to be a Jackson it's a Jackson name, you know, because my father carried the name. You know, we was the only one that had an A model Ford way back there in I think in 28 or something like that. Now, my father was a professor, school professor, and we was the only family that had a car, because everybody else had those horses and mules pulling wagons, and so we had a A model Ford. My father did, call him Professor Jackson. So it means something to be a Jackson.
During Michael's trial for the sex abuse trial, and you walking with him, outside almost every day to that courthouse, there was a real sense of pride on your face, and it was like you were protecting your son at a moment where he really needed it.
Yeah, but by being there when he needed me, that was support I was giving him. That was support that he needed to know that I was there for him. And that's what I did. I was there all those times, of course.
Do you think he needed you before he passed? Was there
Yes,
a time
he did. I tried so hard. But there was people around him. You know, we had, during the trial, there was a lawyer, and I'm going to call his name. And he'd be proud of me calling his name on TV. His name is David LeGrand. He lives in Las Vegas. Michael hired this lawyer to be his lawyer. And this lawyer, believe me or not, this lawyer checked everybody out that worked for Michael. I mean, everybody that had worked for him. When he got up there on court, they called him up. The lawyer said to the jury, the lawyer said to the jury, I checked everybody out that had worked for Michael, and every one of them was cheating. That's what he said. Every one of them was cheating. So after the jury had recessed, I called David out in the hall, and I said, David, I said, why didn't you do something about this, what you just reported? He gave me the impression that if he had tried to do something, they would do something terrible to him.
Let me ask you a question. If you were in Michael's life, would he still be alive today?
Of course. I had told some people, some friends, that if I don't get to Michael, he ain't gonna be here long. I said that. He won't be with us long. And I called the shot to the T. That's exactly what had happened. I just didn't like to see him. Matter of fact, I wouldn't go and see him laying up in the casket because I didn't want to remember him like that. You know, I wanted to remember him live and dancing on stage.
He was your boy.
He's my son.
Something came up the other day. There's so many stories, so many things, but the other day was that Michael may have had another child. It's Omer is his name. And then everyone's like, oh, he was sitting right there next to Reby, and everyone's trying to connect some dots. Did you know that as Michael's other son?
Yes, I knew he had another son. Yes, I did.
And he looks like a Jackson.
Oh, yes. He looks like a Jackson. He acts like a Jackson. He can dance like a Jackson. It's just that. This boy's a fantastic dancer. Matter of fact, he teaches dancing. Yes.
So maybe he's the future of the family.
I don't know. I can't say that yet until I see it happen.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.